Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well folks, they don't say ignorance is bliss for nothing. Do you really think that people who donated to Black Lives Matter or supported Black Lives Matter in the past would still donate or still support this organization if they actually knew the reality? Well, chances are probably not. Of course, there are some people who are cognitively lost, to put it lightly. You know, the vote blue no matter who crowd. No matter what you tell them, no matter what reality they are confronted with, they will continue to double down. But the average American, the average person who felt sympathetic or compassionate and just opened up their wallet, do you think they would do it again? Chances are probably not. There's been a bunch of on the streets videos lately just asking college students, asking people in Los Angeles if they would still support Black Lives Matter after figuring out that $6 million mansions are being bought, and of course most of the money is missing. And most people, their eyes open up, they have an aha moment, an epiphany so to speak, as the grift is unveiled. And that is exactly what's happening. At first we covered the revelations of this $6 million mansion in, I guess, the Los Angeles Hills. I mean, a truly spectacular home, a beautiful home that Black Lives Matter had purchased as a quote compound in order to do content creation, which was really just one video. And as we covered it, we didn't have too much information, but we just knew that it looked real fishy, it was a real scam, and it was bad enough. Well, it just got worse. It turns out that not only were they enriching themselves by buying lavish real estate, but it seems as though this whole thing might have actually been a money laundering scheme. Yep, you heard me right. The ceiling continues to collapse on BLM. And if you think that the first story I'm about to show you is crazy, wait till I show you how Black Lives Matter is responding. Let's get into the fraudulent grift that is BLM. But of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at this. Quote, "This raises serious questions. Black Lives Matter paid $5.8 million for LA mansion from a Black Lives Matter linked developer who paid $3.1 million for it 6 days earlier. Say you're money laundering without saying you're money laundering. As previously reported, the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation spent approximately $6 million on a lavish Southern California mansion using donor cash and then took measures to keep the purchase a secret, according to a report on Monday. In October 2020, 2 weeks after BLM received a $66.5 million cash infusion from its fiscal sponsors, the group employed a man with close ties to the charity's co-founder Patrice Coolers to secretly purchase the 7-bedroom residence. Diane Pascal, the financial manager for Janaya and Patrice Consulting, an LLC operated by Coolers, and her spouse, Janaya Khan, bought the Studio City mansion in cash to conceal the misuse of charity donations. 6 days later, Pascal transferred the property's deed to an LLC named after the property's address, New York Magazine reports. It turns out that the BLM-linked developer paid $3.1 million for the same mansion just 6 days earlier, the New York Post reported. The mansion was then purchased by Black Lives Matter for $5.8 million and paid for in cash. It was paid to a shell company registered a few days before, the Daily Mail reported. According to the Post, the $5.8 million sales price is 250% more expensive than other similar homes in the area. And so there you go, folks. Just as the Gateway Pundit says, tell me you're money laundering without telling me you're money laundering. We have a developer who's linked to Black Lives Matter buying this property 6 days before they did for $3.1 million. Then Patrice Coolers and her wife's money manager, Diane Pascal, comes in and buys the same property less than a week after for double the initial purchasing price. I mean, I get we're in a crazy real estate market and people are buying homes above asking price, but $3 million above asking price, nearly 3x, is unheard of. In fact, that would literally be a record. There was a record, I think, in 2020 or 2021 where a home was purchased $1 million above asking price, and that was like this big thing in the real estate world. It was reported across different outlets, $1 million above asking price. But in this case, we're talking about $2.7 million above asking price. Essentially double the price. And of course, you guys are all seeing the same thing. I mean, this is a scheme. You get wealthy developer who's connected to your organization. Let's say his name's Jim. Jim forks over $3.1 million, buys a specific property, and then 6 days later, you pay Jim nearly $6 million for that same property. Well, where's that $2.7 million go after that? That is the important question to ask. Was developer Jim being paid off for something? Is he then taking that money and funneling it through different organizations, and eventually it's ending in other people's hands and he's getting paid a cut out of it? So many different things can happen here. I think none of those options are not shady. The most impressively shady stuff that's coming out of all of this are the justifications and responses that we're getting from actual Black Lives Matter officials. BLM claims the $6 million California mansion was bought for, quote, cultivating joy. Black Lives Matter recently purchased a $6 million mansion for the purpose of cultivating joy among the Black community, the organization announced Monday. Joy is a radical act, Black Lives Matter alleges. As a practice and as an experience, joy is something that can heal and sustain us when times are tough. But joy also provides opportunities to explore the possibilities beyond the limits of our daily lives. I mean, I don't get it. What is this, like a poem? Cultivating joy? You need a $6 million California mansion that's essentially being used as a second home and as a party palace for the elitist leadership of Black Lives Matter? I mean, give me a break. Cultivating joy. The whole purpose of the organization is to uplift Black voices and protect Black life, just make life better for Black communities. I mean, that should be the stated goal. And apparently they're achieving this goal by buying $6 million mansions in the Los Angeles hills, far away from the city and far away from Black people, let's be honest, in purely white, rich communities, to, quote, cultivate joy. You know what cultivates joy? A clean park, maybe a sports complex, maybe a computer center, maybe those things in a Black community. You know, you raised money for these communities, and now you're cultivating joy for yourselves in a rich white neighborhood. These people are full of it. And wait till you see Patrice Can-Coolers' response. Black Lives Matter co-founder slams, quote, triggering charity transparency laws after $6 million mansion is exposed. Wait till you hear all of these buzzwords. Patrice Coolers, a Black Lives Matter co-founder, said she found it triggering, emotionally compromising when she hears about financial documents being made public. It's such a trip now to hear the term 990, Coolers said at the Vashon Center for Arts on Friday. I'm like, ugh, it's like triggering. I actually did not know what 990s were before all of this happened, Coolers continued. Coolers claimed that activists' lives are being put at risk and that they endure trauma by having to disclose their charity's finances, while also claiming that the system is being literally weaponized against us. See what I mean with the same buzzwords, the same things we constantly hear from every leftist grifter when they get caught in their criminal acts. It's like the system being weaponized against us. Our lives are now being put at risks and the trauma. I mean, give me a break. This doesn't seem safe for us. This 990 structure, this non-profit system structure, she said. This is like deeply unsafe. This is being literally weaponized against us, against the people we work with. You mean the fact that you're operating a non-profit and that you're taking money for a supposed goal as, I guess, a charity where there should be transparency in terms of where the money's going? And now people are finding out that you're buying $6 million mansions for your wine parties with your girlfriends, and that's triggering and unfair and the system is weaponized against you. I mean, what are you talking about? How utterly absurd. It seems as though this whole scam was a fraudulent front to scam people out of millions of dollars to create the Patrice Can-Coolers real estate company. I mean, for Pete's sakes, think about the amount of money. $6 million in Los Angeles. Let's not forget also this story. Black Lives Matter sent millions to Canada Charity to buy a mansion. M4BJ, a Toronto-based nonprofit set up by Janaya Khan, who's Patrice Can-Coolers' wife, I believe, and other Canadian activists, snagged the 10,000 square foot historic property for the equivalent of $6.3 million in cash in July 2021. $6.3 million in Toronto in cash, $5.8 million in Los Angeles, a grand total of $12.1 million on two properties. An extremely large amount of money that I guess they didn't even have to pay taxes on. Money that people work hard for and will never be able to see in a lifetime. These fraudulent leftists got their hands on in less than a year, in a couple months, grifting off the life of George Floyd and Jacob Blake and others. And it's just as despicable as it gets, folks. I hope the Black Lives Matter gets fully investigated. We've covered in the past that Patrice Can-Coolers isn't only in charge of one organization, she has so many different other organizations which she's funneled millions of dollars through Facebook and other massive tech companies. There is a massive scheme to unmask here, where money is being fundraised and then it's being funneled through all of these different sources, and these individuals that are at the head of all of it are somehow becoming millionaires overnight. It doesn't take an Einstein to figure out that this is as fishy as it gets, and what happened in California looks like some clear money laundering. That's what I got for you guys though. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share this video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.